we will continue with the Christmas story. Today we will read the story titled End Out the Year. Hi, my name is Baylee and I am an older lady, whom lost her soulmate, best friend, and husband several years ago. I raised our young son Anzi, without his best buddy, Daddy. It wasn't easy at all for either of us. In Anzi's teenage years, he still referred to my husband as Daddy. That is all he knew him by. He also had a cedar box I had given him to store his treasures of him and his daddy, and he called it his daddy box. So many had opinions on how to raise a young boy without any daddy or any help. They had no idea how hard it was to discipline a child who had just, and even later, lost his father. No matter what the situation was, it just seemed like I was punishing him for losing my husband. As the years went on and Anzi grew, life became very empty for me. I tried dating apps and OMG, what a mistake. The men I met was so not what I was looking for. I tried blind dates set up by my friends, they really don't know me I thought. I tried going to different churches, movies, bingo, and still no luck. I joined a few different groups and still just nothing. I threw myself into myself, I guess. Sewing, crafts and even just working all the time. That really wasn't doing anything for me except exhaustion. I just settled for one day at a time. Days went by, weeks went by, then years and more years, and now I am a senior. I stopped at a cafe per bar one day after work to grab a bite to eat. I had stopped into this particular place a couple other times. This time, however, a man came over and introduced himself to me. His name was Jack, tall, dark and good-looking. We began meeting at this place on certain days and we became friends, along with some of his other friends. As I am new to the area, I didn't have any friends yet. That is as far as I wanted to go. As it turns out, he has had a different turn than me. Although we had both said we are not looking for any relationship at all. We had agreed. He fell for me, as far as I could tell, for no reason. He would say, "Don't break my heart." I am like, I haven't done anything. I can't have anything to do with breaking your heart. I have tried to get to know him and I really don't think he is what I am looking for, if I am even looking. We don't have much in common that I can tell or have found so far. I certainly do not want to settle, life is far too short to do that. We have done a few different things like taking a ride over to a couple different beaches. Talking and asking questions, trying to get to know each other. Maybe, I am just messed up. I don't know. I have some hang-ups on some of his hygiene and habits and noisy eating. How do I ever let someone know this, to let him know that I am not into him, especially like he is into me? I have been trying to step back some and distance myself. Nothing has seemed to work about changing Jack's mind about me. Months have went by now and he just seems way to head over heels about me. His daughter even has told him he needs to step back. But he is not good at doing so. We are coming to the close of the year and I have not changed my mind, nor has he, I guess. We went to a Christmas party together. Can't say it was much fun actually. He's needy I think and that doesn't work for me. I should not be with someone who is taking more than giving. If a relationship is more one-sided than the other, what kind of relationship is that? Even if it is just friendship, why should anyone put more into a relationship than what they are getting in return? I have a short time on earth left and I just don't want to waste any time not being happy. Jack and I went to a movie together. It was an okay time as friends go, at least for me. But I just feel like I am wasting my time. As friends no, but as any kind of relationship goes. What should I do? As I mentioned earlier, I work a lot, and I was supposed to work Christmas Eve day and Christmas Day, however, they closed on Christmas Eve day because of weather. I did not see Jack over Christmas holiday and that was fine with me. He went out of town to spend time with his family. We met a couple of times at the normal place and had a few drinks between Christmas and New Year's. I also worked New Year's Eve day and New Year's Day. But Jack showed up at my door on New Year's Eve after I was home from work. I couldn't believe it. We had not made any plans to see each other until after the first week of January. We sat and talked, watched some TV and passed some time away. As the night drew on, there came a knock on my door. I had no idea who it could be. It ended up being a friend of mine dropping in to give me a New Year's present. He had brought me a puppy. I was thrilled. He didn't stay very long, just long enough to drop off the puppy and all his bowls, blankets, toys, food, leash and such. After he left, all my focus was on the puppy and I was so happy. I guess maybe Jack saw the difference in me and he could see how much more the puppy had made me happy than he had. He left shortly afterward and I didn't think anything about it. Till the next evening after I got home from work and saw a small gift sitting on my bookshelf. I didn't know what to do. Should I call Jack, or pretend I hadn't saw it? What was it? I couldn't even go there. I certainly did not feel the same as Jack, and I knew that. But how could Jack not know? I certainly had told him many times that I was not into him as much as he was into me. I wouldn't even let him say I was his girlfriend, because I didn't feel that at all. He set me up, I feel. Now his heart is broken and I didn't have a chance not to break it. Needless to say, my New Year's Eve midnight kiss was from my new puppy, and that made me happy. God will bless you. We will continue with the Christmas story. Today we will read the story titled Yet Another Christmas Story. In New York, they said that introverts had been practicing all of their lives for the lockdown. How had they guessed? It was as if they knew her personally. In these recent times, for Lynette, even Christmas meant solitude, for 2 years out of necessity, now, maybe out of habit. So, no cacophony of loud gift bags, coughing red tissue paper set clustered on the floor, holding presents for friends. No sparkly holiday cards, past and current, glittered from the mantel. And no angel lights, appearing to hang in magical suspension, beaded the windows today. One tradition hung on. Last night, as every December 24th, she cracked open her wide children's edition of A Christmas Carol. And she did not scoot it back onto the shelf until she read the final line. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, everyone. The happy survival of Bob Cratchit's little boy always heartened her. She was a fan of the socialist Dickens, but more and more, she identified with his capitalist protagonist. Scrooge's only problem was that he hated poor people when he should have hated everybody. An old boyfriend from the 90s had called her detached, and winced as he'd said it. She'd been flattered. And soon after that, she completely unattached herself from that clown. Observing CDC guidelines came naturally to her. Respecting personal space, automatic. Avoiding muddled crowds, innate. And washing her small hands, reflexive. She'd rather kill herself than tolerate a dot of dirt beneath a thumbnail. All of her life, she'd been sliding her chestnut-colored fingers and pink palms beneath any sink's hottest water as soon as she stepped in from the outdoors, mingling with the microbes of sundry non-handwashing others. Decades ago, after reading the stats, she'd sent a letter to the editor about this public hygiene matter. It appeared in the local paper in the era before internet platforms exalted the unsubstantiated lollygagging of anybody with access to a keyboard, but of course, probably influenced no one. Men were the worst. Back then, the vast majority didn't wash their hands after using the bathroom. So, among the other countless flaws of humanity, people, even in the United States of America, were literally the unwashed masses. When Lynette was young, she told a friend she wanted to marry a doctor. At least they have to wash their hands, she'd said. Not at home, the other girl countered. Lynette had cringed. Who knows? Maybe that's why she never married. Or possibly her work siphoned her energy. Plus, so much time flowed into travel. Every summer except the last 2, ended with her checking off another destination. You're a vagabond spinster like me, her great-aunt Anna had said. Lynette remembered her aunt's voice frequently so that she would never forget it as long as she lived. High-pitched, it hit the ear as a sort of lively, cheerful song. She swore her niece hung the moon. She'd said, "The way I talk about you, folks probably think you're going to be the next president." Lynette had laughed. "So, you've made me famous there in Chicago." Haha, could be. Anyway, everybody's famous to the people who love them. In April of 2020, hoarseness replaced musicality in that voice. Aunt Anna wanted to say as much as she could, while she could, but it became a choice between talking and breathing. The next day, a cousin called with the news. She'd said, "At least it wasn't prolonged. I think it's because she told them no ventilator." The world's uncontained geyser of evil had washed away yet another innocent. Nightly Lynette began sitting with her arms tightly crossed, eyes narrowed, witnessing on public TV what she thought of as the COVID death show. Maybe now the damn fools will wash their damn hands, she thought. And stop eating so damn much. COVID had legitimized solitude, but as with any other season in life, it could not give without taking. She was grateful that she could do her job remotely. 2 weeks ago, her History 102 students' squared faces appeared online for the last class. One young Asian woman in a second-row tile said what a good experience it had been. Then they lifted their hands to their chins and all applauded. Hell, back in her school days, Lynette would have applauded too if college had been this easy. A generation ago, she dashed across the paper chase finish line and grabbed a terminal degree in poli-sci from a first-tier Midwestern university but stumbled into a hobbling career at a state college here that accepted 93% of freshman applicants. She'd always wondered who did they reject. The ones who typed "prolific school shooter" in response to the question about their plans for the future? She could not make the work rigorous nor at all challenging. They'd give her low evaluations and she'd get fired. Most enrolled only to get the two DUs, DA diploma and DA job. But occasionally an outlier popped up. A student who did actual college-level work or at least aspired to. One South African kid had told her he grew up speaking Izulu and struggled writing in English. A few days before it was due, he turned in his paper on the schism between the abolition and suffragette movements, asked for feedback. She sent it back feverish with red corrections. He shot over his work this way throughout the semester. He'd always incorporate her changes and send notes of profuse thanks. He asked her to recommend novels for he found those more accessible than nonfiction. Morrison's The Bluest Eye became the first of several. It was an easy read but harbored deep meaning. Little Piccola, more put upon than Tiny Tim and forever unspared. The more Thotto read, the better he wrote. At semester's end, he'd sat in her office, his shiny near-black face lit with pride and close to tears. It was his first A. He confessed that though he knew she was the greatest of professors, he thought of her as Auntie. He lowered his eyes, looking down at the floor and then up at her. Where I come from, that is a title of respect. Her friends teased her, saying her students were her substitute children and her job, a kind of husband. She said she sought to fill the vacancies in neither category. She'd guarded the respite of space in her life, weaving a mosquito net of excuses to would-be suitors. Back around 2005, she told a man she was too upset about the results of the presidential elections to have dinner with him. But that was a year ago, he'd said. You see what I mean? She'd said. And how many times had she said she was married? One nitwit asked whether she was in an open marriage. She replied yes, if he caught her cheating, her husband would open it up and kick her out. As she snatched up her knapsack, she'd once told an idiot, harassing her in the library, that she needed to rush home to feed her 6 kids. While she didn't particularly wish for stomachs to fill, on this third empty Christmas, it would be nice to have someplace to rush to. She looked out the window. Raindrops lightly pelted the snow, slowly graying the winter wonderland produced by a soft blizzard the previous day. She could see the complex's playground where a woman took smartphone pictures of a man and a hooded child flanking a slush-marred snowman. At her office desk, she flipped her laptop open. Only one Cineplex still ran The Woman King. If she hurried, she could make the next screening. She tugged on her boots, wrestled on her long puffer and remembered the umbrella. She opened it outside though the rain had grown light. On its big canopy, a rendering of Kylebot's Paris Street, Rainy Day, ballooned out with its imposing Parisians moving down pinkish cobblestone walks under blue-gray umbrellas. Holiday visitors made conveniently close spaces impossible to find in the parking lot of the vast building complex she lived in. She mumbled curses and stamped through the graying snow toward the end of the property where her car was parked. Suddenly a little red mitten grabbed the hand with which Lynette held the umbrella stem, squeezing it in a death grip. And she saw the outstretched arm of a tiny girl, her butterscotch face illuminated with delight and amazement. A man's voice said, "Yes, it's pretty, but that belongs to the lady. You can't have it." A woman, her damp sheath of dark hair plastered to the sides of her cheeks, gently tugged the child's arm until the grasp relented. This was the family she'd seen at the window. Her eyes stayed on the child, who didn't appear at all upset. "It looks like we have the same taste in art." The little girl stood grinning as if she'd somehow staked a claim, captured the umbrella and its owner no matter what. Lynette was about to tell the parents that they could probably order a miniature version over the internet when she looked up. "Auntie, Professor," the man shouted. It had been 10 years. Time had a way of making her feel so outdated. Thotto introduced his wife and 4-year-old. He asked her where she was headed. "Are you going to see friends there?" he said. When she told him of her plans for a simple solo trip to the movies, he said, No, you mustn't." "She should come with them," he said, pointing to a specific structure ahead among the complex's identical buildings. He explained that his parents had flown in from Cape Town and there was plenty of food to share. "I have told them about you. They will really like this. It will be as if they're meeting a celebrity." He said, "Come. We must get out of this weather." His wife was from Mexico and, like him, not fond of winter here, he told her. They all walked forward wedged under the umbrella. The African, the Mexican, the American and the child, sheltered by the Parisian.